You can't do a Harry Potter Christmas without including Honeydukes. Welcome back for part 4 of our Harry Potter Christmas series, where I'm going to tell you all about how I put together this amazing Honeydukes inspired candy trolley. I had so much fun with all the little projects. We made our own homemade coconut ice. We have free printable labels for all the candy jars. We made a little candy inspired mini tree with some DIY decorations. We've got Bert's Every Flavor Bean. I always find that a bit of a tongue twister. Free printable boxes. We've got Chocolate Frog free printable boxes, and we even made our own homemade chocolate frogs. So let's get going and let me show you how I put all this together. I wanted to include some giant lollipops, so I found these at the dollar store in different colors, and then I designed a little sticker label to go on the front of them. I used my Cricut to cut them out on sticker paper, but if you don't have a Cricut, you can just print them on sticker paper and cut them out, or even print them on regular copy paper and just use a glue stick to attach them to your lollipops. They came out really cute, and they definitely are bringing the fun to our Honeydukes cart. I also wanted a way for my guests to be able to take some of this candy home, since I don't need this much candy, and I thought these little paper bags were perfect. I found them online, and then I just added our logo sticker to them, and they worked out really great. When you're stocking a full cart of candy like this, it can get a little expensive. So some of the candy I found on sale at the dollar store, and a bunch of it I got at the bulk food store. I love that because you can get just the quantity that you need, and you can even bring in your own containers and fill them up. In the book, there's wizarding magical candy, and then there's also regular candy. So I tried to go with actual candy from the book, but it says there was chocolates and toffee of all kinds, so that gave me a little bit of liberty when I was choosing as well. To make my glass containers look like they were from Honeydukes, I just printed our label on copy paper and used a glue stick to apply them. I like doing it this way because they're much easier to get off than actual stickers are. When you're doing Harry Potter, I feel like you have to do the Bertie's Every Flavor beans. So we have this free printable box that I just printed on cardstock, and then I used a craft knife to cut out the windows. Then I folded it on all the score lines, and then I glued in some cellophane for the little windows. Then I used a hot glue gun to glue the box together, and it was ready for the jelly beans. For the jelly beans, I use gourmet jelly beans because they are the yummiest and everybody actually wants to eat them. You could certainly buy some of the Every Flavor beans and use those instead, but of course they have the really gross flavors in there. Another thing you could do is buy like 1 or 2 boxes of the Every Flavor one and then mix them in so that it's a majority of really yummy ones, but there's a few of those disgusting ones in there for people to get. It's up to you. I put them in a little cellophane bag, sealed them with some tape, and then put them in the boxes, partly because the boxes are quite large. You could also shrink them when you print and make them a little bit smaller. And then I just used hot glue to close up the boxes. Another idea is putting a little string in the top, and you could hang them on your Christmas tree, which would be fun, but I wanted these for the candy cart, so I just left them plain. But they turned out really, really great. They're so cute and colorful. I also made some homemade chocolate frogs, and they were really easy to make and really delicious. So I ordered a silicone frog mold. I got mine on Temu, but you can find them lots of places online. And I think this project would be really fun to do with kids, to come up with all different fillings. So I used some chocolate meltable wafers, melted them, and did like a base coat on the mold.
Regular chocolate frogs are just solid chocolate, but since we were making our own, I thought we could have some fun with different flavors. So I made a few with some whole almonds just tucked inside of them. And then you just cover the tops with more melted chocolate and let them harden. For the peanut butter lover, we did a couple that just had regular old peanut butter inside. And again, you just spoon some in and then cover the top part with chocolate. And then we also did a few where we mixed chocolate with Rice Krispies and used that as the filling. You could use anything you want in these, any kind of nuts, marshmallows, caramel, whatever you loved. Just do that initial coat in the molding, put in your filling, and then put chocolate on top, and then just let them harden. And once they're all set, you can just pop them out of the molds. Mine came out really easily, which I was happy with. And I was really happy with how they turned out. They weren't perfect, but they looked really good. And then I had this idea to use a little bit of gold spray paint for food and give them a little gold coating, and it makes them just look a little bit more magical, which I love. Of course, we had to make some chocolate frog boxes for these little guys. You can grab this free printable over on the blog, and you're going to print it on one sheet of cardstock and then cut it all out. And then in these corner pieces where the box comes together, you need to cut right down into the design. And you can kind of see where the cut marks are. And then you need to score all the fold lines. Be gentle when you're working on the box top because it's very easy to sort of leave marks, especially in the blue ink. So just be gentle in that area. Next, you're going to use some hot glue to put your box together, and you just bend up the side pieces, and then those little flaps bend down, and you can glue those as well to cover it up. And then there's one little spot on the top of the box that you glue together, and it should all come together for you pretty easily, and they really look great. And then you can start putting them in their little boxes. How adorable are those? So cute, really delicious, and a fun project to do as a family or with your kids. Another sweet treat that's mentioned in the book from Honeydukes is something called coconut ice. I think it's a British treat, but the description sounded so good, and my family are coconut lovers, so I decided to make some. The bottom layer is white and the top layer is pink. It's made of just a few simple ingredients. It's a no-bake, and the full recipe is over on the blog. It's very easy to make and a great recipe to make with kids. Now, because we were doing Harry Potter and I wanted to make it even more fancy, I added a little edible glitter in gold and then these gold stars to the top as well, just for a fun finishing touch. Then I cut it into small pieces. It's very rich, and I added it into my large glass jar, and it looks amazing and it tastes amazing too. So I really do recommend doing this one if you're doing a Honeydukes cart and you love coconut. It's a great one. Since we were setting up our Honeydukes candy cart for Christmas, I really wanted to include a small Christmas tree decorated with candy ornaments. I also thought it would be fun to add a garland made out of real gumdrops. So I grabbed a couple bags from the dollar store and then I threaded them onto wire. You can use thread and a needle, but the gumdrops are very sticky and kind of dense, and they're a little bit hard to work with. So the wire makes it a little bit easier to get them on, and then it hangs nicely on the tree as well. A lot of these projects you can do with kids, but this one is a little bit tricky. You need to be a little bit strong to get them on, so probably not a great kid project, but they really look great. They smell great. The colors are really good on the tree, so definitely worth doing. So I set up a little miniature tree on my cart, and then I added some lights to it and some sweet themed decorations, little cupcakes and ice cream cones and candies. For my tree topper, I made a larger Honeydukes logo, and I cut out some really thin wood to put it on and added glitter to the edges. And then I used this ribbon, which I ordered online, but it was the perfect Honeydukes colors of the pink and the turquoise. I also added on our Gumdrop Garland, and it really looks great on the tree. And then I wanted to add some chocolate frogs. In the video on the DIY ornaments, you can see some larger ones I made, but for these, I just used some toy plastic frogs, painted them brown, and added a little eye hook to the back for hanging. And they just add so much charm to our tree. I also made some flying stitch ornaments for the other tree. And there's a free printable for the wings. And I thought because they were candy, I would add a few of those to this tree as well. Then it was time for me to fill up these candy jars. So the first one is gummy worms. They are mentioned in the book and everybody's favorite. I do not think these will last until Christmas, but I did buy a couple extra bags of these from the dollar store to replenish the jar as it gets empty. Now these jars look really great with our Honeydukes logos just glued on the front. I have had these in my stash for years and years, but if you are looking for something similar, I would suggest looking at thrift stores or on Facebook Marketplace. I also wanted to include some licorice because the book mentions licorice wands at Honeydukes. I went for the straight-sided ones, and I think these will be a hit with people watching movies as well. Then if you're looking for a low-cost, high-volume candy, get yourself some cotton candy or candy floss. This bucket was on clearance, and it came with the blue and the pink. So I used it to fill up 2 jars, and it's really beautiful as well. So definitely a win-win, and we have some kids visiting over the Christmas break for a party, and I think that the candy floss might be the first thing that they clear out. We'll see. And then we filled up the bottom of the cart with even more candy. So our Bertie's every flavor beans that we made and our chocolate frogs went here. And then there were also 4 canisters of candy at the back. Now the book mentions peach rings as one of the candies at Honeydukes, so we got some of those. And then it also says in the books chocolates and toffees of every description. So we just filled out the other 3 canisters with some of our favorite chocolatey treats, and it all looks amazing. So here is the finished cart. We added in the lollipops and our little treat bags so everybody can help themselves. I'm really happy with how this turned out, and I'm curious, tell me in the comments, what treat do you think is going to be the first to go? Okay, one more very last minute addition because I just can't stop. Originally, I was thinking about the Honeydukes store, but they run the trolley on the train as well. So I thought this would be a fun addition, and I can imagine all your guests looking at it and saying, "We'll take the lot." Okay, if the sign was my PS, this is my PSS. I had this idea to add garland and lights, and I think it just makes the whole thing so much better. I added in some faux garland, some mini star lights, and some star garland, and it just makes it so magical for Christmas. Hey, go big or go home, right? I have 0 regrets. I love how it turned out.
I really love how our Honeydukes candy cart, trolley, store all came together. It looks really beautiful in the space, and I just couldn't stop adding finishing touches from the letterboard and then adding all the garland and lights and stars at the end. But I think it just turned out really beautiful. It was a very fun project to do. It would be super fun to do with your kids as well if you're Harry Potter enthusiasts this Christmas. Be sure to check out all the other videos in this Harry Potter Christmas series. We've got our Christmas tree with all our homemade DIY Christmas ornaments. We've got our fireplace mantle with our cool Harry Potter sweater inspired stockings. And then we've got our slightly evil Dolores Umbridge inspired mini tree with DIY ornaments. So be sure to check all those out as well as this one. Thank you so much for watching. You can grab all the free printables over on the blog, lifeisaparty.ca. If you enjoyed this video and this series of videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you won't miss any more of our creative ideas.